Today I just wanted to touch on and revisit the Ming Men, which is your low back, okay? I'm going to try to give you some physical references for you to practice with. I want you to find something like a jacket that you can roll up and place in your low back area. Could you take a minute to do that? And no, we don't want like a pillow, because a pillow is too soft. You need a jacket or something like that that you can roll up, and then we're going to put it into your low back area. You're also going to need a wall that you can stand up against, okay? Lisa?
So go get a wall.
Go get a wall. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so poor Tai Chi Tom here, he's pretty fused in his spine, so I can't really show you the flexibility that we should have and where exactly this is. Our spine is supposed to have a series of curves in it. Down in the low back, the curve comes to the front, and then the curve comes out about this part of your spine called the thoracic spine. Then at the neck, which is your cervical spine, it curves back in again. So it's a series of little S-turns, which I think is beautiful because everything in nature is curved. There is no straight line in nature, and Tai Chi is all about curves. Now, the Ming Men point is a very important and vital point. So we have our Dantian, we have the Qua, and we have the Ming Men. I would like to propose that the Dantian is probably, of all of those, the least important. There is far too much emphasis on the Dantian. And if you think about it, even Master Ting very rarely spoke about the Dantian. He talked about the Qua a lot, and he talked about the Ming Men. The Qua and the Ming Men work together, almost forming a triangle. So your Ming Men point is right opposite of your Dantian and in the curvature that's normally curved in of your low back. So the first thing I want you to do is and when I first started Tai Chi, my natural posture was like that, with my butt kind of out. Things are skewed a little bit because of my microphone. Yeah. Okay, so my back was curved and my butt was out. So this is called lordosis. It's a natural thing to have some curvature at your low back, but over time and with gravity and sitting, we tend to get too much. So I want you to just run your hand down your spine and find that point where you feel the curve, the S curve. This is best done standing, not sitting. And when you find that point, then I want you to just play a little bit with pelvic tilt, which is tucking the tailbone under or tucking your butt under and then back, and just play with that, because that kind of allows you to feel this hinging point of your Ming Men point. I'm not saying that's how we're going to access it, okay, or how we're going to manipulate it, but it just allows you to feel where your particular Ming Men. What was interesting last night is that each student had a different location of where it was. So it's not the same with everybody. You intuitively will know where it is, but I want you to feel it anatomically, where that kind of that hinge point is. And then imagine there being a button about 2 inches in diameter right in that place, so that you're keenly familiar with that point. Okay? Now, if you can, let's see, can you see, put your index finger in that point and then place your other fingers at the muscles that are on either side of it. And just rest in your Tai Chi stance and feel those muscles. Are they tight, are they tense, or are they loose? Now, go ahead and create more curvature and you'll feel those muscles shorten. And in Tai Chi, we want all muscles to lengthen. And then tuck your tailbone under and you'll feel those muscles likely are tightening. They might be lengthening, but they're still engaged. And we don't want them engaged. We want them soft and receiving. Yeah. Okay, thank you, DG. So that's all just an exercise of becoming aware of where your particular low back, I'm going to call it low back or Ming Men, and it's also referenced as the life gate, is. Now you're going to take your rolled up jacket, and I want you to go up against the wall. Your feet, just a little bit, are You're in a Tai Chi stance. And your feet just find a comfortable place where you are about 6 inches away from the wall. And you're in your Tai Chi stance. So in other words, you don't want your heels up against the wall and your head up against the wall and all that. You want a distance from it where this is supporting you. Now, it looks in the camera like I'm angled and leaning back into it. I'm not. I'm parallel to the wall, the back parallel to the wall. Then release and sit down a little bit. And as you do, pretend that this is a perfect chair. And you can expand your back into that jacket. So that you've got as much surface area of your low back as possible resting into that jacket. And in return, you can feel that you're well supported and you can relax your muscles more. Now you can play with it a little bit. You can go do a little more arch or tuck your tailbone. In fact, do that. This is why I don't like tuck the tailbone I just think that's wrong. So to go ahead and tuck your tailbone, and can you feel that this quality of pressure becomes hard back there? Yeah, that's not what we want. We want soft and receiving. So now release and just sit down in your chair. And then as it's like a balloon expanding into, with your mind, into that jacket to the point where the jacket is soft and supporting that whole area. And that looks great, Beatrice. You look like you're suspended in time. So this feeling, if you can find it, and I want you to practice this and play with this is what you should feel in your Tai Chi and our Qigong, our Wuji Qigong, or any Qigong for that matter. This is what you feel. And then when anybody touches you, if you're to do push hands or two-person play, you're already here and you just feed this. So pretend, put your hand out, both hands in fact. No, one hand works better. And then this hand just resting down as if you're resting it on a table. And then pretend that somebody's pressing on your hand a little bit and feed it like this is a funnel. Feed it through your arm to the front of your dantian and all the way into the jacket, so that you're borrowing that structure and it feeds your structure and makes you more comfortable. Okay, good. All right, now I need feedback from you whether you felt that or not. Not sure, Janet. Some of you are like, not sure. So, Lynn says, well, yeah, Lisa feels it because DG feels it, great. Sandy, okay. And if you didn't, it's okay, I want you to play with this. So I'm getting lots of thumbs up, that's good. Try it again, outside of class. Just stick that jacket back there, and like the students that put their hand on my back in class, they feel this, it feels like a marshmallow. It becomes soft and it expands out. And what I want you to get from this is that you start to get like Master Ting would always talk about, the whole watermelon. You get the whole watermelon feeling. And I loved his math, right, which was ironic because he was an accountant. But he said Tai Chi math is different. It's 1 + 1 = 1. And I would just ask that you play with this a little bit, and then if you have somebody who can push very lightly here, then it becomes the funnel and you're pouring it in, goes into the dantian, and you're not doing this physically. And I just imagine that my back is this huge sponge and it's just able to take that person's power and absorb it into that area. And what happens then is the point at which that person is touching you also becomes so soft that it's disorienting to them. And then that way, when I'm ready, I can deliver and they go. But they're thrown off because they don't feel an increase of pressure because you're absorbing it. You have to absorb it somewhere. And in Tai Chi, it's all about receiving the incoming and rolling it off. And I used to always think that's the Lu, right? It's the rolling part that we do. But it's three-dimensional, so it's also the absorbing of the incoming person. Well, if you absorb it, you got to take it somewhere. You take it into your qua, and we're talking front qua, shoulder qua, and your Ming Men. All of those points. And it creates this marvelous feeling where you are so comfortable. You're making yourself comfortable with the incoming force. And then you are in command. You can do whatever you want. But the most important part is that you feel great. Your body is now connected and in oneness. So it's hard to teach this through live streaming, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least introduce it. And it was actually one of my other students, a physical therapist, that recommended the back, the rolling, putting the roll in the back, and that really worked for us. So try it. Get up against a wall, put that roll in your lumbar area, and then have somebody press on your hand. And don't deliver here. Receive it. This is a qua. Your arch of your hand is a qua. You absorb it through this qua, through your hip qua, and into your back qua. Into the dantian, which can be a qua, and into your back, receiving it there, feeling there, and then you don't even have to think about it going to your feet because it will. And when those things are dialed in, he cannot move really any of us. So it's a feedback loop. You need to practice it. Just have somebody touch you and pour it into your low back. So then when you have that moment that you feel it, then when we're doing a form, a Qigong form, then you pretend. You feel this. You feel like somebody's touching you on the outside, but you're pouring it into your Ming Men. And then the sink, turn, expand just happens naturally. Yeah. Okay. So pick one of the more simple forms to try to feel this, like push water or hail a taxi, and just imagine somebody pressing there, and that your back is up against the wall, and you want to feel that jacket and expand into that jacket. Try to acquire that same feeling. So as you float your arms up, you're going to sit down and imagine that you're sitting down next to that wall and you have a contact point on your wrist. Well, you sit down and you expand your back into that jacket. Yeah, and then rest your elbows in the sand. And then we'll do our push water, and the more you turn to your corner, the more you are resting into the jacket that's in your low back and against the wall. So it's always there, but the more you approach the corner or the place you're going to turn, it becomes more. The sinking takes care of itself. You do not have to add more weight or sink down. Just the expansion is a release, and gravity takes care of the sinking. Now do make sure that your weight shift is correct. On most of these movements, we're weight shifting to the opposite side. If you're rotating to your right, you weight shift slightly to the left. Wow. And vice versa. So there you go, that's it. Now, can you place your awareness in your shoulder qua and absorb in through your shoulder qua? The more you rotate, the more it comes into the shoulder qua. Any of those points will help to feed into your low back. Nice. Now we'll go into our hail a taxi, right into it. So release one arm and allow it to sink. Your elbow in the sand. Release and sink this arm, releasing it. Try not to put your awareness in the floating, or rather the lifting, but releasing. The other arm will float. And we'll do one more. Very nice. And then we'll come back to the middle. And remember that we're gathering this essence. And this is another opportunity to feed into the jacket.